News. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the E Factor, where entrepreneurship meets etiquette. We're creating an environment for empowerment for the people. I am your fill-in host, Ken Powell, and today we're going to be talking and learning all about the group home marketplace. So stay tuned, take notes, and we're going to have an exciting journey. Before I go into any detail, I just want to point out that what we're going to be talking about is combining real estate with a business opportunity. And then we're going to make a comparison between that and what everybody's talking about, these Airbnbs, and why this might be a better option for you as well. Okay, so today I have great guests. These guys have been in the group home business. Well, they're going to correct me, but I call it group home because, let's face it, that's what everybody probably recognizes it as. But these are professionals, so they're going to use the actual identification of what it is. So, just realize that I'm no expert in this area, but I'm willing to explore this marketplace. So I'd like to welcome Rhonda and Brian, the experts in the marketplace. And well, Rhonda, I don't know what people think about when they think about group homes. The reason why I'm using the word group homes is because a lot of people consider a group home, for example, like a drug rehab. What is a drug rehab anyway? I think you were correcting me earlier on this.
Right. So we don't use the word group home. We use adult residential facility. But a drug rehab, they don't really call it that. It could be a sober living program. The word drug rehab is kind of extinct, Ken, sorry. But the sober living is what we call it.
Well, that just tells you, I'm old school. Back in the day. And then there's also, so we're not going to be talking about those today, correct?
Correct.
And then there's also the foster home system.
Again, foster home, they don't call it foster home care homes. They call them, it could be small family homes, they call them now, or STRTPs, which are short-term residential treatment programs. Then a lot of foster youth end up in those programs, but they don't call them really foster care homes anymore.
It just tells you the terms that I'm used to from the old days. And then the one that has been pretty popular over the last 5 or 6 years is called senior residential living.
Correct.
RAL, I think, residential assisted living.
It's actually RCFE, Residential Care Facility for Elderly. So it's RCFE. Those are the initials. We have a lot of initials and acronyms in this business, but it's actually RCFE. And that's for elderly, yes.
Yeah, well, and that's the whole point of me going through these, is because us unfamiliar with the marketplace really don't know what the terminology is. That's why you need to work with an expert like you. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into that probably a little later, sure, as to how we're going to help people maneuver through this whole entire marketplace. Mm-hmm. So then the next one is, oh man, you really corrected me on this one, homeless shelters. So they're always talking about that in the news. LA is going to build like a 10-story massive homeless shelter. Mm-hmm. but it really has a different name.
Well, for one, we try to stay away from the word homeless anymore. Now we call them unhoused individuals.
Okay.
But those homes could be independent living homes, and they're called ILFs. We call it. These are people that basically share a home together and may or may not have disabilities, but may be homeless and are unhoused and live in these homes.
Okay.
A lot of times, those places have quite a bit of people in one home. They're usually, in a 4-bedroom house, you may have like 8 to 10 residents.
So it's a little different than Section 8, correct?
Definitely, yes. Section 8 is a program, government program set aside to assist people with their rent and with housing, but it is different. This one is a actual facility, a place, a house, but they are they need assistance with living.
Okay, so and then the next one I have, and again, I'm going to be corrected, battered women's shelters.
Oh, goodness. Man, I used to teach that. But battered women, so domestic violence, women that are victims of domestic violence, they do have those. Those are available. They don't call them battered women's shelters. They're just shelters for people who have experienced domestic violence. Those are actually very secretive homes because the nature of that type of business, they don't want the perpetrators knowing where these women live. But so those homes are they're there and they're available, but they're usually very secretive about the whereabouts and stuff like that. It's a process to get into those kind of homes too.
Okay, and then the halfway house. What halfway house is?
Oh, Ken, you're killing me. So halfway house is still there. That you definitely understand what that is. That could also be like an independent living shelter. No, halfway house is more of when they're coming out of jail. So this would be a step down from being into regular society.
Right.
This would be a house where a person coming from CDCR or prison system could live. They have a chance to get a job. They still have a lot of restrictions. They may have to be in at a certain time,
Right.
and so forth.
Okay.
But this is a specialized house for people who have been incarcerated on their way to being, successful into society, mainstreaming.
Okay, so that's really a mainstreaming program put on by CDCR.
Correct.
And
yes.
so it's really, it's like a house that's really a prison.
Correct. It's a step down. It's just
Yeah.
a little step down. So they may not be behind bars, but a lot of times, the judge, the end of the sentence, they may, require that they have to do things. A lot of times these guys have to, and females have to do like classes, domestic violence classes or anger
Right,
management
right.
or so forth. So this is kind of a segue into, having a home of their own. They live in these houses, but the goal is to try to educate them and get them, they're able to stack up some money, they're able to save money and everything, so that when they are able to go on their own, they do have, these skills, a little financial help, and they're able to mainstream back in society.
Okay, and the great thing about this is we're not going to talk about any of the ones I just talked about.
No.
Right?
No, we're not. No.
So, but the point that I wanted to make is that there's many options out there, many different programs, and a lot of owners of homes that get approached about leasing to certain organizations, they think it's like one of these, right?
Yes.
Especially the drug one.
Exactly.
And they don't really want that. They don't want to rent their house to somebody like that. But we're talking about something entirely different.
We are, and that's a stigma, unfortunately, when you go to rent homes. Even the term group home, people think holes in their walls, they think it's going to be trashed. And actually, these homes, we're held to a higher standard of maintaining the home. You have, annual visits from licensing, from regional center. So these homes have to be in good repair. And a person renting this home would also have to carry additional insurance that a regular renter would not have to carry. We have to carry additional insurance to have that business in a home. So if it were me and I was renting a home, I would want somebody who had an ARF renting a home.
ARS.
Adult Residential Facility.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about adult residential facility.
Correct.
Not residential assisted living.
No.
Not foster care.
No.
Not any of that stuff. We're going to talk about where the big boys go, and why many of you have never heard of this, because this is a great opportunity not only to save people, but also to make a couple bucks.
Correct.
Either as a landlord, right?
Yes.
Or as an operator.
Correct.
And we're going to go into a lot of detail. And that's where Brian comes in. You're going to have to wait about 30 minutes, and then Brian's going to tell you all about how you can get your house and how you can get it vendorized, or not vendorized, but licensed. And then we're going to talk about vendorization here in a minute. So kind of what we're looking forward to doing is laying out what the game plan for going forward with this program. So I understand that there's multi levels. So there's like but I'm a little confused because I talked to a couple people out in Texas and Missouri and Arizona, not Arizona, but different states in the South, and they said, "Oh, you can run one of these homes without being licensed."
So there's two different parts, right?
Okay.
There's the house itself. The house has to be licensed, no matter what level you do. You have to have a licensed facility. So the house, which Brian will talk about later, but the house has to be licensed. Then the second part of that is the vendorization and the people coming into the house. Then we get into the levels of the type of individual you want to serve. But all of the houses, there has to be some type of inspection if you're talking about persons with disabilities in this. And then when you go into other things like the foster home you mentioned, those don't have to be licensed homes. But in this arena, they do.
Oh, okay. So people are actually kind of confused.
I think
because
so.
There are so many options, right?
Right.
And they teach these classes as if they're all the same.
Yes.
They're not.
They're
Everything
not.
is specialized.
Right. Funding.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Funding comes from different places. So, if I'm thinking of foster home and group home, I'm looking at state, county funding. If I'm looking at persons with intellectual disabilities, I'm looking at regional center, state. They're different pots of money. So with different pots come different responsibilities.
So before we go to commercial, and we're going to go to commercial in just in a second, the beauty of this program, right, is the state pays you.
Correct.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about somebody coming up with any money.
No.
Okay, it's not like any other type of rental property out there.
No.
And we're going to talk about how financially beneficial this could be to a landlord, but also to a person who wants to be an operator.
Correct.
And we're going to talk about all those things after these important words from our sponsor.
Radio has openings for 1-hour talk shows. If you want to host a radio show, now is the time. Make KCAA your flagship station. Our rates are affordable and our services are second to none. We broadcast to a population of 5 million people. Plus, we stream and podcast on all major online audio and video systems. If you've been thinking about broadcasting a weekly radio program on Real Radio plus the internet, contact our CEO at 281-599-9800. 281-599-9800. You can Skype your show from your home to our Redlands, California studio, where our live producers and engineers are ready to work with you personally. A radio program on KCAA is the perfect work from home avocation in these stressful times. Just type kcaaradio.com into your browser to learn more about hosting a show on the best station in the nation, or call our CEO for details, 281-599-9800.
And now, the voices of KCAA with an exciting announcement.
Want to hear NBC News or KCAA anywhere you go? Well, now there's an app for that.
KCAA is celebrating 25 years and our silver anniversary with a brand new app.
The new KCAA app is now available on your smart device, cell phone, in your car, or any place.
Just search KCAA on Google Play or in the Apple Store.
One touch and you can listen on your car radio, Bluetooth device, Android Auto, or Apple
CarPlay.
Catch the KCAA buzz in your earbuds or on the streets, celebrating 25 years of talk, news, and excellence with our new KCAA app.
Just do it and download it.
KCAA, celebrating 25 years.
Hey, welcome back. You're talking to the E Factor, where entrepreneurship and etiquette meet to create empowerment for investors. Today's guest is Rhonda and Brian, experts in the process of building homes for, let's see, what do we call this?
Adult residential
facilities. See, I have it all written down as group homes. Boy, did I get corrected. Please, when you call Rhonda, hey, what's your phone number anyway?
951-446-9524.
Oh, I'm not sure if I should have done that on air, but that's okay. No, it's good.
Oh.
You don't mind people calling you, right?
No.
Okay, and you're going to see why you want to give Rhonda a call later in the show. But the bottom line is that I'm learning, just as you are, about a new and exciting way of making money in real estate, but also an ability to create a job for yourself, or not a job necessarily, but a business. And even more importantly, you might even have a nonprofit that might want to participate in something like this. We have millions, literally millions of people in California and in the United States that are homeless, that are unguided, and they need assistance. And the County of San Diego has done a really good job, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. I would say so.
So why don't you, Rhonda, kind of explain how somebody can get involved and what the county does and all the see this is I feel like it's getting close to what is it the Halloween, and I noticed on the way in that they were building a corn maze. So this is kind of like our corn maze of how to get into the business.
Correct.
Okay.
There's so many moving parts, like you said. So if I were to get into the business, I would think about what do you want to do? Who do you want to serve? What does that client look like to you? You know, these are going to be persons with disabilities. So you got to think about how would you like to run your home? There are goals that are attached to this. So what I want people to understand is if you decide you like this and you want to work and help other people, you want to think about how you want your home. Perhaps you might really want to work on health and nutrition. So you want to make sure you have a home that really emphasizes on that. Or maybe you want a home that you have a knack for wanting to work with people that may not be ambulatory. You know, whatever your niche is, I would start with exploring that.
Okay, so let's back up for a second.
Yes.
So you got into this business. It's not that easy to get licensed.
No.
Wouldn't you say? I mean, how long did it take you to get licensed?
So I started in 2017. It took us, now when you say license, are you speaking about the house or the individual?
We're all talking individuals.
Individual.
In segment 3, when we talk to Brian, we're going to be talking about the house.
Okay, so the individual. So the word license. So what that means is there's a term called administrator, right?
Okay.
So in order to run a home, you have to be an administrator. Depending on what type of house you have, depends on what level of experience you need to have. So in the house that I started with my cousin a few years back, we were level 4I home. So that meant that you had to be an administrator, yes, but you also needed a year experience working in that capacity with the level 4I type of client.
Okay, so let's back up for a second. 4I is pretty much the highest you want to go.
Well, it goes higher than that.
I know, but
yes.
you know,
that's my sweet
until
spot.
you've got some real experience in this thing. This is not for a rookie to go to the 5.
No.
I mean that's like Navy SEAL stuff.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right. That's negotiated rate. That's a little different.
Yeah, you're dealing with a whole different type of person. Okay, but a 4I is pretty nice. You know, but at the same time, you need 1 year's of experience in a 4I?
You need at least a year experience. In most of them, you need some type of experience.
But okay, so let me back up for a second.
Sure.
The very first one is the Level 1.
Mm-hmm.
You just need the license, right?
That's just about it. Administrator's license.
And then, you know, they got some sort of little test or whatever. And
That little test, you got to pass it. But yes.
Yeah. Once you pass that little test and then and they think you're okay, then all of a sudden you can have up to how many people in your home?
Depending on what the fire marshal says you have. But the sweet spot is 4 to 6 clients.
Okay, on level 1.
Uh-huh.
And level 2, is it more? Do you need more experience or?
You need more experience. It may start off as 6 months experience, I think, for level 1s and 2s. Remember, a level 1 or 2 client, this person is really a roommate. They're very high functioning. They're able to go to work and take meds, and they can do a lot of stuff. So 1s and 2s don't require a lot of experience. It's when you get into your 3s and 4s. And your 3s, a lot of times, are medical. So when I say medical, I mean they may have seizures. So
Right.
So you see a lot of LVNs and RNs attracted to that because they have the medical background.
Oh, and they exactly, and that's where the big dough is, right? In the 3s and 4s.
Mm-hmm. And then the 4 being the behavioral home. Okay. So behaviors, those behaviors could look like anything. It could be anger. It could be a self-sabotaging. It could be hygiene, grooming. It could be anything for the level 4. Most level 4s are going to come from other homes. Maybe they didn't make it in a level 3. There was too disruptive and they had to get bumped up. Maybe they came from a level 5 and were doing better and got, so there's all kind of ways you can achieve to get a level 4 client.
Okay, and one thing that we have to point out is some of these people have served time.
Yes.
And they're on probation.
That's right. Yes, correct.
And everybody gets scared because they're on probation.
Mm-hmm.
What does probation mean for that resident and also for the operator?
Well, Ken, I'll be honest with you. I love the ones that are on probation. And let me tell you why. I know it sounds weird to say that. Because with probation, they're going to come with a probation officer or someone to assist you with keeping that client in line. So I like it because if there are goals that are set up and this client is not achieving the goals or they went back to some old behavioral patterns that were destructive, it's nice to call a probation officer and say, hey, I need you to stop by and, take a look at Johnny. Johnny is not, following the rules. So I think that's a stigma. I think we need to get away from thinking jail is scary or probation. Honestly, we should embrace it because they're coming with extra supports, and Regional Center at sometimes will even give you additional funding for it.
For that person, yeah.
They may need a more behavioral consultant. They may need more behavioral time. They may need additional staffing. So why shy away from it?
Well, and I think the other thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration, by the way, is when they violate their probation, they go back to prison.
That's it.
Not cut and dry.
Cut and dry.
So you have a lot of control over that resident that you wouldn't have if he wasn't serving a sentence.
Exactly.
Or a probation.
Probation. The only extra work might be you may have to make sure they make their appointments. Usually if they're on probation, they have to report to an officer.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Things like that. But that is your time to sit down with the officer. And a lot of times officers will really work with you. If they know the person has these disabilities but has these behavioral traits, they'll be part of your plan. And together you work with the probation officer to make sure that they execute the plan.
Yeah, and it's the same thing for parole. So
Correct.
Parole,
Yes.
probation, pretty much the same. So
Yes.
if you were thinking, oh, well, what about a parolee?
Same thing.
A parolee is actually it's worse for a parolee.
Correct.
In terms of supervision.
That's correct.
Because with a parolee, the parole officer can show up anywhere, anytime.
Yes.
And
they do.
And they do. Yeah.
And they do.
And so that actually makes the house a little calmer.
I think so. And the other residents respond to that as well. The other residents.
Well, yeah, when you see a bunch of guys rolling in with badges and guns, yeah, it has a way of moderating behavior.
Yes.
So that's great. So then if you're a 3 or a 4, you have to serve what I call it an internship for like a year, right?
Right. You need that practice. You need that experience. So they want you to work in some type of, be great managerial experience for about a year. You want to be able to be a house manager or a DSP lead. DSP means direct support professional. That's what we call it in this field. You want that experience. And it is useful because then once you want to run your own home, you want to get that hands-on experience of what it's like to work with that client. I would challenge everybody to do that. You want that experience. It does come in handy.
Absolutely. So now I'm going to talk about as an investment just for a second.
Sure.
Because you actually lease several properties.
Correct.
And the landlords get nice rent, don't they?
Yes, they do.
And their rent is basically guaranteed by the state of California because you get a guaranteed check and then you pass that check to them.
Correct.
The reason why I'm making a comparison with an Airbnb, remember Airbnbs get all this extra money, right?
Right.
Okay, quote unquote, but you have no guarantee that somebody's going to rent your place.
That's right.
This is all guaranteed money.
Oh, yes.
And it's guaranteed to go up every year because of inflation.
Yes.
Right?
Definitely. And people that are looking to rent these places, they're not looking for short-term leases. They want 5-year leases at least, or not longer, because all the work it takes to put one in,
right.
They don't want just a year lease, so that's guaranteed for 5 years. Different landlords do it different ways. Some landlords will make the lease a little, maybe less rent in the beginning, but then when the clients come in, I've seen landlords, put it at market rent or higher, or, there's so many different ways that people can make money. Maybe per client, they might give an additional. It's a lot of different ways, creative financing for real when you're talking about leasing.
Well, yeah, and I think as far as being an investor is concerned,
yes.
If you own a property, this is a marvelous way of guaranteeing rent.
Absolutely.
A lot of people think, oh, well, I could go Section 8. Well, Section 8 is fine, but Section 8 doesn't pay the kind of money that this would pay.
It doesn't.
And the properties have to be maintained.
That's right.
And
additionally insured.
That's correct.
That's huge. We have to carry a 1 to 3, I think it's 1 to 3 million aggregate. So it's like a lot more than your average renter. We have to carry that. And it has to always be in good repair because we're always getting visits. On a monthly basis, you're getting at least one social worker coming in. You're getting all these people that are reporting agencies that are going to look at your property. So your property needs to be in good repair. So anyone renting from someone that has a property, you can just about guarantee they're going to take very good care of your home.
Okay, but now let's go to being an operator.
Okay.
As an operator, you don't have to own the home.
No.
You just have to get a lease.
That's right.
So your entry level is pretty low.
Yes.
I mean, you're going to do 6 months to a year of working for Rhonda. You'll still make money, but not as much money as if you ran your own home. But you got to get licensed.
Yes.
Personally.
Yes.
Then the property has to be licensed.
Correct.
We're going to be talking about that in the next couple minutes. But basically, this is a business. This is not a rental property.
No, this is a business.
And the bottom line is it's commercial property.
Correct.
And sometimes I have a hard time explaining that to people because they think of it, oh, well, I'm buying a house. A house is residential.
Right.
In this case, no. And I think Brian brought this up several times. It's a facility.
Yes. Yes.
You may think it's a house, but in San Diego's mind, it is a facility.
As a matter of fact, even when you go to put your license application in, the application has to be rented to your LLC, not to you individually. It has to be in the LLC's name. So if you are RA Care Homes, it has to be in that name. It cannot be in your personal name.
Got it. Okay. Well, we're about ready to go on break. And then Brian's going to tell us how, once we line up a property, how we can take that property from beginning to licensed and then actually start running a care facility. So we'll be right back after these important words.
KCAA Radio has openings for 1-hour talk shows. If you want to host a radio show, now is the time. Make KCAA your flagship station. Our rates are affordable and our services are second to none. We broadcast to a population of 5 million people. Plus, we stream and podcast on all major online audio and video systems. If you've been thinking about broadcasting a weekly radio program on Real Radio plus the internet, contact our CEO at 281-599-9800. 281-599-9800. You can Skype your show from your home to our Redlands, California studio where our live producers and engineers are ready to work with you personally. A radio program on KCAA is the perfect work from home avocation in these stressful times. Just type kcaaradio.com into your browser to learn more about hosting a show on the best station in the nation or call our CEO for details. 281-599-9800.
And now, the voices of KCAA with an exciting announcement.
Want to hear NBC News or KCAA anywhere you go? Well, now there's an app for that.
KCAA is celebrating 25 years and our silver anniversary with a brand new app.
The new KCAA app is now available on your smart device, cell phone, in your car, or any place.
Just search KCAA on Google Play or in the Apple Store.
One touch and you can listen on your car radio, Bluetooth device, Android Auto, or Apple CarPlay.
Catch the KCAA buzz in your earbuds or on the streets, celebrating 25 years of talk, news, and excellence with our new KCAA app.
Just do it and download it.
KCAA, celebrating 25 years.
Hey, welcome back. You've been listening to the E Factor, a combination of entrepreneurship and etiquette, creating an empowered investor class. Today I have Rhonda and I have Brian, and we're discussing homes. I still can't get over the fact that I keep in my mind saying group homes, and it has nothing to do with that. And so I'm not going to let her correct me again, but she will. So in this segment, we're going to be talking mostly with Brian, and we're going to be talking about acquiring properties. So there's a couple different ways to acquire properties, right, Brian? You can either buy it or you can rent it or lease it, right?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Yeah, so you guys currently, lease 2 properties or more? I think you have
3.
4.
We have 4. Yeah, total 4.
Yeah, but I think only 2 licensed or...
Well, 3 are running right now, and they're
Okay.
basically licensed, and then we have 1 that is on the way.
On the way. And then we have this other one, too, so actually there's 5.
Ooh, yes, that's
right?
true.
El Cajon?
Correct. That's right.
Did you add that into the mix?
No, I didn't add it down.
Not yet.
No.
See, Brian's one of those guys. Until it's real, it's not real. So it's in escrow right now. A 5-bedroom, 3-bath home that we're going to be able to save between 5 and 6 people.
Yes, God willing.
Okay. And so when you went to that house, El Cajon, which is a beautiful area.
Yes.
I guess we had a little issue with entry, but other than that, one thing that I think that you said that is very important is that we have to change the locks, right, on all the properties that we take over?
Yes, we have to change all the locks for safety and just to secure the facility, and it's just, we have to do it. It's something you just have to do.
Yeah, and then there's a checklist, correct?
Yes.
And how many steps on the checklist do you got to memorize, right? So you just go through it.
Yes, pretty much.
Okay. So who's the most important person in inspecting a property after you're getting the property licensed? I hear it's the fire department.
Yes, because they're tricky. They like to check really well. They check the alarm. They be pushing buttons. They want to make sure they're all sound. To make the same alarm sound at the same time. And if you don't do that, well, they'll direct you to fixing it.
Yeah, and I heard you can't go to Home Depot and get the little sticky alarms. They all have to be what?
And put battery on them? No, those normally they check. They really check, and they'll make sure. They have to be hardwired, and they all has to be, done correctly, all the way directly to your panel. Has to be connected and all in sync together.
Okay,
You know?
and then you have to have a lot of fire extinguishers too, right?
Yes, you got to make sure there's plenty of fire extinguishers throughout the house. If upstairs, downstairs, and kitchen. You know, just because for safety. Plus, you know, the fire department is really they like that. It's code.
Yeah, well, they have a checklist of what type of fire
Yes.
extinguishers as well, right?
Of course.
Yeah, yeah. So that's interesting. So, but you were telling me that that's the easy part. The hard part had something to do with what, plumbing?
There's a lot of stuff. If you go to a house, like for example the one at Alcohol, the outside looks really nice. Just a few touch up on the garden. I got to make sure I bring a crew and get that done, and we get it done quick. But we also have like, if inside is proper, you know, no wall holes in the wall or there's no tore up carpets and stuff like that, we gotta fix that. So I'm an expert at fixing like everything, but I have people to do it, you know, basically.
Well,
But we get it done, though.
well, that's you're the boss, so. El Jefe.
That's what they say. I don't know.
You know, the first time I was called El Jefe, I was actually building a home, and one of the workers said, El Jefe, how are you doing? And I said, oh man, he called me fat. You know,
I understood that.
I was fat, so I was taking it personally. And then I had the plumber pull me over, and he says, "No," he says, "he called you the boss." I said,
yes.
"Oh my gosh!" So I learned a real valuable lesson on that. So yeah, so you were saying if the plumbing's messed up, the house is messed up.
Yes, because when you buy a house, the first thing you got to check is the plumbing, you know. If the plumbing ain't correct, it's going to make it difficult for the client, you know, to live there. Because, you know, you got to have running toilets, running showers, and then not just running, but you got to have, like, the right temperature, you know. The license will check that it's the right temperature, and if not, you have to fix it.
Like in a restaurant? I mean, they're doing the same kind of check?
They go fancy. You got to go, you know, the water heater, make sure it's regulated to the right temperature because they will have a thermometer. They will check.
So it really makes sense if you're going to do this to actually probably replace your water heater right away so that you got a brand new one so you don't have to worry about the 10-year-old water heater and not passing inspection.
Yes, correct.
Because it may be good for you, but it's not necessarily going to be good for the house.
Exactly, correct. And other stuff that you gotta look for is to make sure that you gotta sure that like the stairs and everything is, you know, free from stuff because they will check that is you know, it's nice done stairs. You gotta have nice exits, you know, and they gotta be in certain areas where they want it. You also have like the sketch of the facility. You know, make sure there's no broken windows, no nothing. Everything has to be like pretty much in great standing. If not, we'll get it there, no problem, in no time.
There you go. So how long do you think it takes for somebody who decided, hey, you know what, I want to work with these guys, and how long do you think it would take to turn the house into a licensed facility?
It takes about 45 days, but to get it ready to the standard, it depends on the house. It could be a brand new house that they don't take much to do. Maybe hardwire some stuff, fire extinguishers, or maybe adjust for the client. But other than that,
okay,
about 45 days. But you could do it within a week or quick.
It depends on the property.
It depends how fast you work, because you know.
Yeah. So we want to work as fast as we can because the sooner it's licensed, the sooner we can vendorize it. Yes. So let me. I'm going to flip over here to Rhonda just for a second. So what do you mean by vendorizing?
I know, I was impressed. Look at you saying vendorizing.
Professional, okay?
Look at you. So vendorizing is the term that we use that specifically relates to the regional center. So it doesn't matter which regional center, if I'm dealing with Inland Regional, Sandhill Regional, Kern County, all of them, the word vendorization means that determines the level of client that you're going to work with. So if I'm getting vendorized, I'm getting permission from regional center to house their clients. That's the second part of this. So that's why when the beginning, when I was saying, think about what type of client you want to work with, I have a background with behaviors. So I love the idea of working with a behavioral client. So level 4 fits me. If I were someone that was maybe LVN or RN, or I like medical, I might want to get a level 3 because I like that population. If I just really wanted to make a difference and wanted like a roommate kind of situation and someone who doesn't need a lot, but I'd like to have the company, I might go with the 1 or 2. So it just depends on what your interest is in, what kind of client you want to work with.
Okay, so let me, we're going to talk money here just for a second.
All right, let's talk turkey.
Level 1, what, $4,000 a room?
Just about, yeah.
Something like that? Mm-hmm. Level 2, 6,000?
Mm-hmm. No, 5 to
5,
6.
5?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 6 if you're stealing all, well, I mean, not stealing, but using their Social Security, because you actually get their Social Security check
Correct.
too, right? And that's really basically for their food and their other expenses kind of thing. So
Correct.
A lot of people go, well, geez, you got to feed these people. Nah, well, Social Security handles that for you.
Well,
so.
yes. So the Social Security, but out of the Social Security, remember, they get $177 of that, $178 of that. It's
Right.
called their P&I. But yes, you do
Right,
get the Social
and that's
Security.
for them to socialize and do things and whatever.
Mhm.
Now, let me ask you this question, because I don't think I've ever asked you this.
Sure.
Do they get EBT as well, or no?
So that's tricky. They do have EBT. A lot of times, depending on where your client came from, if they were homeless before, because we have quite a few that were homeless, and their EBT might be $500-$600, and then they come to a facility and it drops down to like $20, $100.
Yeah, $90. Yeah,
because
okay.
the county's figured out, their meals are being provided by
Right,
you.
right,
So,
right.
but they do. A lot of them do have EBT.
Okay.
They all have Medi-Cal. They all have,
Okay,
health.
so they have all the other social benefits. Okay.
They do.
And then the other thing is level 3, you're looking at what, 6 to 7?
About 6 to 7. Yes, correct, exactly. 6 to
Somewhere in
7.
between,
Yes.
depending upon. Okay. So you're a level 3 and you're a nurse, okay, or even lower than that. Let's say you're just a what is it, CNA?
CNA, LVN.
You could be a CNA.
Yes.
Run a level 3.
Yes.
And bring in $6,200 a room.
Yes.
Or, excuse me, per
client, because
per
there could
client.
be 2 clients in one room.
Yeah, but you don't want to do that. I mean, think about
Well,
it.
I don't know though. If you're talking about a level 3 client, that's different than a level 4I client.
No. I get that. But even there, $6,000 a room, and you got a 4-bedroom. That's $24,000 a month.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well, I'm
That's
just saying.
nobody's getting that kind of money in Airbnb.
No.
So, and it's basically the same as an Airbnb, right? You're responsible for cleaning the house,
Correct.
feeding the people, providing transportation to and from activities. But then I think there's also a subsidy for that as well. But we won't get into that this time.
So think about this a little differently. It's not that you're cleaning the house. It's not that you're really preparing the meals. They're doing it with you. Remember, the goal is independent living. So they're making their own beds. Okay. They're participating in cooking. They're part of it's a home. So you're not.
Okay, just like an Airbnb.
Yeah, well, yes.
You get the key to the Airbnb. And then you got to cook your own meals. You got to make your own bed.
There you go.
You got to make sure it's clean.
We want to be independent.
And yeah, it's the same kind of thing, but with a lot more money attached to it. But you can't really get locked in on the money. You have to enjoy working with these types of people.
Yes. Correct.
Okay, because if that could really cause you some emotional stress.
Oh yes.
If you're not prepared to take care of somebody else.
That's right. It's a calling. It definitely, you have to really want to do this and have a heart for it. They become your family. It becomes like a niece or nephew because they're there in your home. You celebrate with them birthdays, Christmas, holidays. Some of them have family, some of them don't. So the main thing is you're there 24/7. I mean, in terms of having staffing and all that. So you grow attached. There are our clients.
Well, you're going to bring in staffing as well.
Oh, you do bring in staffing.
Okay, so you have to have an LLC.
Right.
You have to be an administrator.
Yes.
You have to have a licensed property. It has to be vendorized.
Correct.
Okay, and they can get all of this by going to your class.
Yes.
That you're going to be producing here in the next couple months.
Yes.
So they get all the basic stuff
Mhm.
and then make a decision if they want to do that. Then the other thing is you're willing to partner with some of these people, right? To
Yes.
get them through the process.
Mhm.
And then I know Brian, he's going to be driving around, getting the people to the places that they need to go. And we're going to be talking about that in a future show, talking about the centers.
Okay.
Okay, and that's a whole different marketplace.
Yes.
But so how can they reach you again? So
My phone number?
yeah, your phone number twice, and then maybe
Email.
Yeah, an email.
Okay, so my number is 951-446-9524. Again, that's 951-446-9524. And my email is r.e.carehomes with the S @gmail.com.
Okay, and then if you missed any of that, you can always contact me at kcaaproducer@gmail.com, and I'll forward the information to Rhonda and Brian. Man, it's been great having you guys. And
Thanks for having
one of the things I like about it is we actually have an action plan. So if somebody wants to start at one of these facilities, man, give you a call.
That's right.
Hey, thanks everybody. You've been listening to the E Factor. And away we go. We're out.
All right.
All right.
Have a great holiday.
Waiting for the break of day.
KCAA Radio has openings for 1-hour talk shows. If you want to host a radio show, now is the time. Make KCAA your flagship station. Our rates are affordable and our services are second to none. We broadcast to a population of 5 million people. Plus, we stream and podcast on all major online audio and video systems. If you've been thinking about broadcasting a weekly radio program on Real Radio plus the internet, contact our CEO at 281-599-9800.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. You've been listening to the E Factor with Rhonda and Brian. This is the outtake.
Oh.
You know what they do? You know when they're having
having fun?
Yeah, they're always having fun. You know, on all these YouTube channels and podcasts and all that kind of stuff. They always have the outros, right? So where we made mistakes or whatever.
Yeah.
And like for example, I kept calling them group homes. Now
Adult residential facilities.
Adult residential facilities,
Yes.
which is different than a group home, which is really the kids.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, is that really the day? Yeah, okay,
Yes.
all right.
I wouldn't lie to you, Ken.
No.
Wouldn't lie to you. Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't lie to me anyway.
No.
That would be dumb.
Yes.
So, well, actually, it wouldn't be that dumb, but I'd believe every word you had to say. So, so anyway, Brian. So you actually are kind of like the cruise director for these homes. In other words, you're taking them out to different places, and that's part of the deal, running the home, right?
Yep, that's what I love to do.
Okay, so I noticed that you took them to the. I saw one of the pictures. You took them to the was
Dave
it the
and
circus?
Buster's.
Okay, Dave and Buster's.
Dave and
Okay.
Buster's.
Where else?
Well, recently they just went to the movie theater. You know, they saw Twister. They brand new movie. They
Oh, my
like
gosh.
it. They love it. You know, they love participating in stuff like that.
Okay.
Delmar Fair.
Yeah. Oh, the Delmar Fair. Everybody
Oh,
loved
okay.
that one. They
Yeah,
love
but-
tasting the food. They love the rides too. Believe it.
And I actually have seen some pictures where you guys had Thanksgiving dinner with your residents.
Oh yes, I cook Thanksgiving dinner usually every year for them, and Christmas too. And then the staff and all of us get them presents. And
Okay, so how does somebody become a staff member in your organization?
it's a good question. If they're interested, I would advise them to. It's called Direct Support Professional. It's how you get started. There are requirements to get in. You know, you need a health screening report. You got to do a TB test, first aid CPR.
Oh, you can't have AIDS? Oh,
I hope not.
No. But
See,
you
this
can't
is an
see
outro.
either.
Okay,
this
go
is
ahead.
definitely out. But they have to do. If they're interested in doing that, they would just contact one of our homes and talk to our administrator or our house manager, and we can get them in.
Okay, and where could they actually open a home? I mean, you obviously control San Diego County, but I mean, is there other places that?
Oh, definitely. Inland Empire is great. It's saturated, really. There's a lot of people in Inland Empire, Las Vegas, Bakersfield, Imperial County. You know, I really think a lot of college kids like this because the hours. They can go do their homework. The overnight shifts are really easy. You know, the residents are asleep, but somebody has to be awake. So it's a great job for people that are retired that just want a little extra money, or if they're in school, you know, this could be a great opportunity for someone that, you know.
So what would be the starting range just for a supervisor? I mean, just somebody overnight or whatever.
Like the starting pay?
Yeah.
Usually are between $17 and $20 an hour.
Okay, basic.
Closer to 20.
Yeah, it's going to keep
Nowadays,
getting bigger. Yeah,
it's closer to 20 and then going up.
Right.
But then they could be a lead DSP, but an administrator, the sky's the limit. Administrators have to work at least 20 hours per week in one home, and you can be an administrator of 2 homes.
Okay.
So that's how administrators can make a good living if they were to have 2 homes.
It's scary how good a living they can make.
Oh yeah, they make good money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but you got to tolerate that 1 year.
You got to do that 1 year. You got to pay your dues.
Well, but you think about it. If you were a doctor, right, you have to go through an internship as well, right? And,
That's right.
And so it would be kind of a very similar kind of situation. So.
Hey, I was a licensed therapist. I had to go through it for 3 years. You have to be an intern before you can be a therapist. So yeah, we all have to pay our dues.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now, Brian, I understand that you were a Marine, right?
U.S. Army Airborne Infantry.
Excuse me. Okay.
Now his voice gets louder. See?
Yeah, now it gets louder. If you get accused of being a Marine and you're U.S. Army, yeah, absolutely.
You know, but nevertheless, I like my brother Marines. You know, I'm an airborne infantryman. You know.
Okay, airborne. But so, are there a lot of people that are suffering from PTSD that might be coming through programs like yours?
Yes, matter of fact, I met a friend of mine. I'm not sure if he was going to one of those homes, but he was homeless, and he was side by side with me in Afghanistan. So when you come back, you never know where you're gonna end up due to PTSD. So he was definitely suffering for PTSD, and that was his case. He was homeless, and I met him literally on the street. Like, he was telling me he was homeless, but now I see him 5 years later. He's traveling the world right now. So it depends how you're doing. Mentally, you could be one place. Next thing you know, you're living your dream. So I'm happy.
So he jumped out of that bad space and into.
Now he has a great job that he travels the world, and right now he was in Kenya. As a matter of fact, he sent me a picture. So he's living the life. He's a businessman now.
Oh, just like me. All right. So he's not one of those YouTube stars that are going around.
No.
You know, and that's the other thing is that you guys have a YouTube channel. What is the name?
Indigo.
No, not Indiegogo. That's your campaign to raise.
Oh, you can bank on it.
You can bank on it.
That's it.
So you can go on YouTube and go to You Can Bank on It.
You can bank on it.
And you're going to see a whole bunch of shorts about different types of facilities, not just the ones that they do, but residential assisted living and others as well. So the idea is to give everybody kind of a little bit of information about all the different types of ways that you can roll. So yours is really the best. So okay, so now it looks like we're about ready to call it quits, and I really appreciate what you guys have done, and thank you for sticking around for the outro.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to you acquiring more properties and helping more people, and that's really kind of your goal, right?
Yes.
The money is not really the goal.
No.
The goal is helping people.
Reaching out to people.
All right, everybody. You've been listening to the E Factor outro. So we'll be talking to you next week. We'll have Cornelius Bryant will be back next week, and he'll be talking about etiquette and what you need to know about. So anyway, see you next Saturday at 2 o'clock. Have a great Labor Day.
Searching for something to say.
Broadcast
broadcasting more local radio programs than any other station in California. We are KCAA.
Empire Talks Back.
The attitude that, well, the little guy cannot win seems to prevail, despite the fact that over time we've seen that the little guy, if he is persistent, he becomes the big guy.
Empire Talks Back.
No, it's because maybe people figure out a little knowledge is like smoke. It leads to the fire.
Empire Talks Back.
I think this drive for equality, this drive for justice is gathering steam as opposed to fading out. I think more and more people realize the importance of the freedoms that America represents.
Empire Talks Back with Wallace Allen and Friends, Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. on AM 1050 KCAA.
But now it seems like things are finally coming around.
The Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands is serving up some really cool ice cream at La Micho Acana. Then get your chocolates and other delights from See's Candies. Moms and future moms who visit the mall can cool off and relax while they get treated like royalty at Shiny Nails or Francis Nails and then pampered at Texture Hair. The Tri-City Center is filled with retailers who care about you. Shop at the Tri-City Center in Redlands and see why they call it the Mall with a Heart.
Tune into the Ferran Dozier Show. Music marks place and time, the soundtrack to life. Sunday nights at 8 p.m. on KCAA Radio. Playing the hottest hits and the coolest conversations. Sunday nights at 8 p.m. on the Ferran Dozier Show. With an array of music, talk, sports, community outreach, and veteran resources. With hits from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and today's hits. The Ferran Dozier Show on KCAA Radio on all available streaming platforms and 106.5 FM and 1050 AM. The Ferran Dozier Show on KCAA Radio.
With 60 years of fascinating facts, this is the man from yesterday. Back in time from this time, in 1987, treasure hunters have found the Titanic's legendary safe and plan to open it during a live TV broadcast. The Titanic safe was found on the ocean floor 2.5 miles below the surface at the Titanic site. It'll be opened on a live TV broadcast in October here in 1987.
Tonight, we will show you for the first time artifacts which have been lost to the world for more than 75 years. We will reveal new evidence which could explain why the Titanic went down. And we will open the recovered safe and valise and discover what surprises they contain.
And from this time in 1968, according to jeans maker Levi Strauss, there's been an uptick in jean sales to women. Some of it can be traced to actress Donna Douglas, who, as Ellie Mae Clampett, wears jeans every week on the Beverly Hillbillies.
This has been a Filmways presentation.
And from August of 1971, singer Lobo says his recent and first hit, Me and You and a Dog Named Boo, had hit written all over it. Lobo says the dog is real, although not his. Boo is a German Shepherd.
Me and you and a dog named Boo, how I love being a free man.
With more at manfromyesterday.com.
NBC News Radio, I'm Chris Coraggio.
The Labor Day travel rush is in full swing, and it's set to break records. The TSA expected to screen more than 17 million passengers from Thursday through Wednesday the 4th. That's nearly 9% more than during the same period last year. Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson, Chicago's O'Hare, and Dallas-Fort Worth are expected to be among the busiest airports. And as Katie Gray reports, overall, the skies are getting a bit more friendly when it comes to passenger behavior.
The Federal Aviation Administration has received a significant drop in unruly incidences compared to 2021, but still has received over 1,400 reports of rowdy behavior this year. Unruly passengers can face serious consequences, including fines and jail time, with the FBI getting involved in cases of criminal behavior on the flights. WSB-TV reports that the FAA has issued millions of dollars in fines for unruly behavior in 2023, highlighting the consequences of disruptive actions during air travel.
The Mississippi Highway Patrol is investigating a deadly bus crash. At least 7 people are dead, including 2 children, and dozens of others are injured after a commercial bus overturned on I-20 near Jackson just after midnight. More than 30 people were taken to the hospital with injuries. Special counsel Jack Smith is leaving it up to a D.C. judge to decide the timeline in former President Trump's election interference case. In a joint filing with Trump's lawyers yesterday, Smith pushed U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan to address the Supreme Court's presidential immunity ruling first and foremost before moving ahead with the January 6th case. Smith did not suggest a specific timeline and told the court decisions on how to manage its docket are firmly within its discretion. The U.S. is facing another surge in COVID-19. The CDC reported yesterday that COVID infections are increasing in 27 states. The agency warns that very high levels of the disease are also becoming more common in wastewater. COVID-19-related hospitalizations and deaths have been steadily increasing across the country since May.
I'm Chris Coraggio, NBC News Radio.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored